Welcome, and today we shall be looking at our Google Colab, and today we're actually going to code our first line. So, yay! I'm excited. I hope you are. All right. So over here, I've typed Google Colab into my search bar. Then this should come up, colab.research.google.com, and then this is where we're going to go. And then if you haven't watched the video on the instructions on submitting, I think you should go and watch that so that you know exactly what to do over here. So I'm going to create my new notebook. And it's loading right now. Alright, so we have it like this. This is what I have, and I'm just going to name it. I'm just going to come here and rename this. What do I rename this to? I'll just go with lessons, right over there. And this is where you have to come in and share this notebook with me. This is where you're supposed to share it before we even start writing anything. The first thing you should do is go and share it with me. So you can watch that video on instructions so that you figure out how that is done. Right, so now let's introduce Google Colab. So I did briefly introduce it when I did the instructions video. So when you watch that again, you can get that brief introduction. So this is where we will write our Python code. So Google Colab is like a notebook for code. This is where we're going to write our notebook, our code, write our instructions. So over here, the page that we're seeing right now, the page that's visible to us, all of this is our notebook, right? It goes on and on and on. So it's not just like a single A4 page exactly. It's the space that we have for our code over here. And this notebook is made up of cells. I think you can already see that we do have one cell over here. So the cells that we do have, we have what we call a text cell and what we call a code cell. Right now, the cell that's over here that we have here, this is a code cell. Then if we click over here where it's written text, this is a text cell. This is a text or markdown cell, right? I would have wanted this to be above this one, so let's just do a text cell over here, right? So with the text cell here, we can freely write our text, and it won't be executed as code. It will know that this is text. So over here, I can come in and write. This is what when I talked about sectioning our work in the video, this is what I mean, right? You can come in and you can give this a heading. Then you can come and write something like, I might come in and write lesson 1. Oh, why am I not typing? Let's see. Oh, yes. Okay, yes. This is the text cell. Over here, we're going to toggle the headings. So if you write it like this, it's going to be a new section. As you can see, when you put the hashtag over there, you write whatever you want, it will appear like this. This is what it will appear like. And then if you put 2 hashtags, it will appear like this. If you put 3 hashtags, it will appear like this. And if you don't put any hashtag at all, it will just appear as you write it there. So I'll just come in with 1 right there and just write lesson 1. This is for me over here, and then I'm done there. Right, I can close the markdown editor. Then lesson 1, this is what it shows. So this is how you go about writing in your text cell. That's so easy, right? Then over here, this one, the cell that we have opened there, here, this one, this is what we call the code cell. So the one that I had opened there, I can come in and delete that. We don't need that one yet. Then this is the cell that I have. So we can think of this notebook as a book, as a literal book, right? Where each cell could be our page. We can come into this cell and write a whole bunch of code at once, and we can execute that or we can just write a few lines and then go into another cell and write again another set of instructions. So when we have, so a cell is equal to, we can just relate it to a set of instructions. So our cells can be run one by one, or run all cell. We can run all the cells from top to bottom. So over here, I just want to introduce some more stuff before we get into writing. We have what we call the run button. Over here it is this that says run all to run all our cells that we have. Over here we haven't written any code yet, so this does nothing, right? So it's just showing that it has executed this. Or you can come, so this run all will run all the cells, right? But if you just want to run a specific cell, you can come in and click over there where we have this play. It says run cell. The cell executed since last change. Okay, then it shows you how long it took to execute that instruction. But then if you just want to run a specific cell, you just come in and click over there and it will run that cell. But if you want to run everything, if you have a couple of cells that you want to run all at once, you can then come in and click the run all that we have over here, right? This is what we have. So I think we can come in and print something. I think that'll be the first instruction that we do run in Python. So in our cell over here, so let me come in and I can type it first and then explain it after that, right? So we can come in and write print our parentheses, our opening and closing parentheses over there. And then inside we put our opening and closing quotations. Then we come in and write what we want inside over here. Hello world. This is typical for your first line of code, right? So we come in and write print hello world over here. Then what happens after I have finished typing, I want to run this cell. I wanted to execute the instruction that I have written inside. I come in and I press this over here. And then this is the result that we have. This is the output. This is the output section over there. So let me just try to break it down a bit. Since I did say this is a beginner's course, I will be doing this step by step so that we do get a hang of it. And since we do have limited time, this will be rushed, will seem rushed, but then I'll try by all means to take it step by step, right? So what does this instruction mean over here? When we use this print, it tells Python to show something. It's in Python, it's telling it show something. Print, so we want to show something. Then we have the parentheses. So what's inside the parentheses over here is what we want to show. So the hello world that's in quotation, this is the text we want to display. So we're telling Python to show us hello world, and then it does so, and then this is the output that it shows us, right? So it has executed this code. And another thing to note is, let's say we do have multiple lines. I decided to write print hello. Let me just come in and type that over there. And I have decided again to add something to that, like all right, like perhaps I say print all right. So if I have made some changes to my cell over here, I can come in and rerun it. Since we have different stuff in there, I come in and run it again. And this is something we have to know about Python. Python reads code from top to bottom, right? So this is the one that will be executed first, and then this one follows. So this is something that we just want to note, right? And before we go into detail with other types of functions or instructions that we can give, I want us to look at comments, right? So with comments, right, you notice how we have this text cell, right? This was when we hit run, or this was not affected, this is just recognized as text. So Python just, we skip this, right? And then it goes to where we actually have instructions for code, right? So let's say I want to add something in here, a text that tells me what I'm doing. Maybe that's not going to be run but that's not going to be run when we run this out, right? That's not going to be executed. So something just to remind me about what this code was, or help me understand the code I'm going to write, right? So I might want to write something like that in my code, and then this is where commenting comes into play. So if you put a comment, it will be ignored when the cell is run. So over here, I can come in and put a comment. How do you put a comment? You just introduce your hashtag over there, and you come in and write something like, I'm going to tell you, this is my first coding lesson, right? Okay, what was I writing there? So this comes in and tells me, oh, this was my first coding lesson. So whenever I come back to my notebook, I see this, I understand, oh, this was my first coding lesson, right? But then this might not be quite helpful. But what you might want to do is tell us what the piece of code follows. The piece of code that follows, what is it talking about? That's what you might want to let others know, right? Or anyone else who's opening your code. It could be yourself or somebody else. Then you may come in like and say, using print to show. So it could be something like that, right? And let's run our cell again, and I'll show you what I meant. You see what happens when it runs? It ignores these two lines because you have put in this symbol to indicate that, oh, this is just a comment. I'm not actually trying to run this part of the code. I'm commenting it so that you can skip it. So this is how you can use our comments. And just to take this a little bit further, I just want to talk about how important syntax is, right? So syntax is just the rules of the language. Like, for example, in English, we have grammar. There is a certain way things have to be structured, right, to make sense. That's the same way in Python. Python is a language, the programming language, so it does have syntax, right? So if we are required to put quotes, let's say over here, where we have this text over here, if we don't do that, then that will cause an error. If we write the wrong spelling of the instruction, like print over here, if we write it with a wrong spelling, we'll get an error, right? So we will look at our errors in detail in a upcoming video, but just to show you what I mean, let me just delete this line over here, and let's just make a small error there. As you can see, it already gives us these squiggly lines below the word, just showing that there is a problem, right? There's a problem over here. It doesn't recognize that. So let's run this. And this is the error message that we get. We will get into detail and learn about how we can actually read these error messages, how they help us out a bit later. So thank you, and see you in the next one.